A secret Chinese police station in Manhattan has been exposed, and arrests have been made. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Major news. For months, we've been covering shocking revelations that the Chinese Communist Party has established secret Chinese police stations in countries around the world. The human rights group Safeguard Defenders discovered 102 of these secret Chinese police stations in 53 countries. Nobody likes surprise police. Well, except at bachelorette parties, but that's a whole different type of officer. And turns out Manhattan's very own Chinatown had one as well. Now, Beijing has denied everything and said the Manhattan police station and similar offices around the world are run by volunteers and are not connected with the police. This would be like the Riddler saying those henchmen covered in question marks you caught don't work for me, they're just big fans of mine. But this week, Brooklyn federal prosecutors arrested and charged 2 men for their role in the Manhattan police station. Their names are Jianwang and Chen Jinping. According to prosecutors, there is now evidence of direct ties to the Chinese state. Prosecutors say the police station was operated by Beijing's Ministry of Public Security. That's about as high up as you can get in the Chinese government. Figuratively. Literally, as high up as you can get is spy balloon technician. But the Chinese government definitely didn't have anything to do with that either. One of the New York attorneys involved said the case reveals the Chinese government's flagrant violation of our nation's sovereignty. The alleged police station was raided in October, but this is the first time anyone has been officially charged. Here's the public statement.
The defendants worked together to establish an overseas police station in Manhattan's Chinatown on behalf of the Fuzhou branch of the Chinese government's National Police Force, the NPS. These defendants did China's bidding in secret.
And what was that bidding? Transnational repression schemes targeting U.S. residents whose political views and actions are disfavored by the PRC government. In other words, the Chinese Communist Party was actively targeting people in America who they perceived as a threat. Wait, they came to New York, where I live, to target people the CCP don't like, and didn't even try to intimidate me? What am I, chopped liver? Anyway, the police station used work like helping people renew driver's licenses as a cover. But it failed to register with the Justice Department as agents of a foreign government. And meanwhile, it was busy going after people in America. But it gets so much worse than that. The secret police station got up to some much more sinister things. Which is saying something, because there isn't anything much more sinister than doing the same job as the DMV. How much worse can it get? According to Brooklyn U.S. Attorney Brian Peace, a lot worse.
On at least one occasion, an official with the Chinese National Police directed one of the defendants, a U.S. citizen who worked at the secret police station, to help locate a pro-democracy activist of Chinese descent living in California.
Wait, they did what now?
In other words, the Chinese National Police appear to have been using the station to track a U.S. resident on U.S. soil.
Between this, TikTok, and all their hacking, is there anything in the U.S. that doesn't track U.S. residents for China? Wait, who put this pen here? Ah, nice try, Xi, I'm on to you. And there's more. Court documents show that one of the men charged, Jianwang, had been working for the Chinese Communist Party in the United States since at least 2015. For example, he was asked to organize counter-protests to the demonstrations from the spiritual group Falun Gong. On top of that, the Chinese consulate in New York directed Liu to publish materials in newspapers targeting Falun Gong. Liu denies he did that because he wouldn't be much of a spy if he immediately went, "Yep, you caught me. Here's how I helped lead counter-protests against the Falun Gong." But he did tell investigators that he helped bring members from his association on buses to Washington for the anti-Falun Gong counter-protests. He said each association member would receive $60 from the consulate. Each bus would have a point of contact that would pay in cash from the consulate. People would not just travel from New York, but also from Philadelphia. Several hundred people would go every time. Okay. So maybe he isn't much of a spy. He basically laid out how he led the anti-Falun Gong protests, but said, "I wasn't directed to publish anything in newspapers." The Chinese government apparently gave him a plaque for his efforts, according to court filings. Later, Liu helped to coordinate threats of violence against a Chinese dissident and the dissident's family in an attempt to force the person to return to China to be arrested by CCP authorities. And that brings us to the part where, according to Peace, Liu also hired an agent through the secret police station to track a U.S. resident on U.S. soil and silence them on behalf of the regime in order to protect its authoritarian worldview. Honestly, I don't know how the Chinese Communist Party thought it could get away with this. They must have such little respect for the United States, which, to be fair, I get, but they didn't have to shove it in our faces, you know? Seth Moulton, a member of the new House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, said this is absolutely absurd that the Chinese Communist Party thinks that they can set up their own police station in a place like New York City. The acting assistant director of the FBI's counterintelligence division said it is simply outrageous that China's Ministry of Public Security thinks it can get away with establishing a secret, illegal police station on U.S. soil to aid its efforts to export repression and subvert our rule of law. But the arrest of these two men was just the tip of the iceberg, a massive iceberg, which is surprising since you'd think with all of China's greenhouse gas emissions it would melt it at least a little. So much more was uncovered this week. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. The arrest of two men working for a secret Chinese police station in Manhattan is just the beginning. 40 others were charged for targeting dissidents in America. There were more people making a living targeting dissidents in America than there are people in America living off NFTs. Oh, they'll be worth something someday, sure, keep telling yourself that. They were also working on behalf of China's Ministry of Public Security and the Cyber Administration of China, so again, this is coming from the top of the Chinese government. The defendants allegedly threatened, harassed, and intimidated dissidents by leveraging fake social media accounts and ties to a U.S. telecommunications company to attack and deplatform political opponents. Specifically, they allegedly created a troll farm consisting of thousands of fake online personas on social media sites, including Twitter, to target Chinese nationals living in the U.S. who were critical of the Chinese regime. I feel like I get to see many of those fake accounts firsthand across all of the China Uncensored social media accounts. By the way, please follow China Uncensored on Twitter and Instagram, and TikTok. No, they wish. The FBI also accused a group of Chinese officers of flooding an online video conference, screaming at and threatening Chinese dissidents in the U.S. who were discussing democracy. This is their grand plan? Zoom bombing and trolling people on Twitter? Who's running this operation, 11-year-olds? What's next? Are they going to yell slurs at people playing Fortnite? Some of these officers are believed to still be in China, so it's very unlikely any arrests will be made. They're thought to be members of a Ministry of Public Security unit called the 912 Special Project Working Group, dedicated to the pursuit of dissidents abroad. Also, do you know how comedically insecure you have to be to chase down your critics across the globe? That was basically the plot to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Representative Moulton made a good point about the secret Chinese police station. He said the story out there that the Americans and Chinese are ratcheting up tensions is really not accurate. This is China ratcheting up tensions. This is the Chinese Communist Party trying to exact their repressive regime all over the globe. That's a very important point. I talked about that in this episode. America's China policy is collapsing, and that's a good thing. All of the CCP's aggressive actions are leading to the death of what's known as the engagement school. That was the idea that if we work with China, kind of ignore the whole fact that they use rape as a form of torture, and do lots of big business with them, China will transform into a democracy. I think everyone hears that now and realizes how stupid it sounds, but the engagement school dominated U.S.-China policy for decades. And you still see people, including a lot in the media, sticking to it. Because sometimes you just need to give brutal authoritarians a 422nd try to become a democracy. For example, this CNN article about the Chinese secret police station. It starts out by basically saying the U.S. does it too. This is not unsurprising activity by a foreign intelligence agency on foreign soil. Washington's penchant for engaging democracy activists in totalitarian countries has, for instance, long been seen as meddling by repressive governments. And the FBI has outposts in many foreign embassies. Wow, okay. So if the FBI has outposts in foreign embassies, that suggests those countries know about it? Did China let the US know about these secret police stations? Also, an embassy is by definition a small patch of one nation within another nation. If the FBI has an outpost in an embassy in a foreign country, the outpost is still technically in the United States. Also, you're comparing supporting democracy activists in authoritarian regimes with an authoritarian regime harassing democracy activists in America. Bad take. Although having bad takes is kind of CNN's brand. But the CNN article warns this could have a dangerous diplomatic fallout that is likely to increase uncertainty, some might say paranoia, about the level of clandestine activity China might be conducting on U.S. soil. Paranoia? Who's saying that? Oh yeah, my favorite Chinese state-run media, the Global Times. Also, if finding a secret Chinese police station being used to harass dissidents on your soil doesn't make you paranoid, then you're just an idiot. The CNN article goes on to say that the level of antipathy towards China is so strong on Capitol Hill that it makes it hard for President Joe Biden not to toughen his stance. Yeah, that would be terrible. Because I'm sure the CCP would give democracy a chance after this 423rd try. This in turn causes diplomatic and political aftershocks in Beijing, whipping up more anti-US rhetoric and behavior. Oh, I see. It's America's fault that Beijing is sending secret spy balloons and building secret Chinese police stations. Wow, America really is the worst. And in the end, this all narrows the room for sober, strategic reasoning. In other words, the whole engagement school idea that we can rationally hash out our differences with an authoritarian regime that wants to destroy us. Not a great plan. Maybe America shouldn't be so complacent as China actively disrespects its sovereignty and tries tracking dissidents, even U.S. residents, in its borders. So what do you think of China targeting dissidents in America with secret police stations? Leave your comments below. And as always, this show would not exist without support from viewers like you on the crowdfunding website Patreon. They're what I call the China Uncensored 50-cent army. And as a thank you to them, I answer their questions at the end of each episode. And today's question comes from Maldoon7. Chris, one of my friends is getting married in China in a few months. How concerned should I be with visiting China for a short trip, less than a week, to attend the wedding? Do I incur more risks as a veteran? We are both U.S. citizens. That's an excellent question. First off, congratulations to your friend. As for traveling to China, currently the U.S. State Department has a Level 3 travel advisory. Reconsider travel. That includes Hong Kong and Macau. The reason given is arbitrary enforcement of local laws. So I think you should probably be fine, but there are risks. Make sure you have a point of contact outside of China that will know to start asking questions if you suddenly aren't responding after a week. But hopefully your main concern will be nothing more than eating too much good food. And not throwing up on someone's aunt if it's an open bar. Thanks for your question and your support. And thank you for watching. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.